For the last 70 years, bodybuilding has been trying to answer one question. What is the best way to build muscle? Not the fastest shortcut, not the most entertaining workout. The method that actually works. And every era believed it had finally found the answer. High volume, heavy duty, power building, bro splits, science-based training, functional fitness, progressive overload. Each method promised the same thing: more muscle, faster results, better physiques. Some created legends, some destroyed joints. Some worked brilliantly for a few people and failed for almost everyone else. And one of them quietly became the foundation behind almost every great physique ever built. This is every major muscle building method ranked from worst to best. Functional hypertrophy training. Functional hypertrophy sounds almost perfect on paper. Build muscle, increase athleticism, improve movement, stay lean. The problem is that muscle growth and athletic performance are not always trying to achieve the same thing. For years, the fitness industry tried to convince people that unstable exercises were somehow superior. Bosu ball squats, single leg curls, balance-based pressing movements, endless resistance band combinations. The workouts looked advanced. They just didn't build exceptional physiques. Because muscle growth responds best to one thing: stability. A muscle grows when it can produce force repeatedly under controlled tension. Not when half your energy is spent trying not to fall over. That doesn't mean functional training is useless. Athletes use it effectively. Rehabilitation programs rely on it. Mobility matters, but bodybuilding history tells a very clear story. Nobody built a world-class physique standing on one leg holding kettlebells. Functional hypertrophy promised everything at once: muscle, athleticism, longevity, conditioning. Usually it delivered moderate versions of all four and exceptional versions of none. CrossFit-style muscle building. CrossFit built one of the most powerful fitness brands the world has ever seen. It created a culture, a community, an identity, and for many people it absolutely works. They get leaner, stronger, more conditioned. But bodybuilding is not about surviving workouts. It's about maximizing muscular development. And CrossFit has a problem with recovery. The system rewards intensity almost constantly. High reps, Olympic lifting, conditioning circuits, minimal rest, maximum exhaustion. The body adapts remarkably well to suffering. But muscle growth doesn't only happen through suffering. It happens through recoverable tension. That distinction matters. A bodybuilder wants to stimulate muscle without creating unnecessary fatigue. CrossFit often does both at the same time, which is why many elite CrossFit athletes end up looking impressive, but rarely look like elite bodybuilders. There is a difference between being fit and being maximally muscular. CrossFit built some of the hardest working athletes in fitness, but effort and optimization are not the same thing. German volume training became famous because it sounded terrifying. 10 sets, 10 reps, minimal rest, 100 reps for a single exercise. The method spread through bodybuilding forums like a secret weapon because suffering feels productive. And German volume training creates enormous suffering. The pump is violent. The fatigue is overwhelming. The soreness can last for days. For beginners, it sometimes works extremely well, because almost anything works for beginners. But over time, the cracks start appearing. Recovery becomes difficult. Performance drops. Joint stress accumulates. The body stops at adapting efficiently because the fatigue becomes larger than the stimulus itself. Volume matters for muscle growth, but there is a point where more stops meaning better. And GVT crosses that line quickly. The method became popular because it looked hardcore, not because it consistently produced the best physiques. There is a reason almost no Mr. Olympia champion built their career around 10 by 10 training. Pain and effectiveness are not always connected. Bodybuilding learned that lesson repeatedly. High-intensity training, then came Mike Mentzer. And bodybuilding changed because Mentzer challenged one of the sport's oldest beliefs, that more training automatically meant more growth. His heavy-duty system was brutally simple. Train extremely hard, use low volume, recover completely. Sometimes entire workouts lasted less than an hour. To traditional bodybuilders, it sounded ridiculous, until people started seeing the physiques it produced. Dorian Yates would later use a similar philosophy to become six-time Mr. Olympia. And suddenly, the sport became obsessed with intensity. Heavy-duty worked because it understood something many lifters ignored. Muscles do not grow inside the gym. They grow recovering from it. But the system had a flaw. Very few people can truly train with the intensity required to make low volume effective. Most people stop when the set becomes uncomfortable, not when the muscle is actually finished. Mike Menser trained like someone trying to survive a car crash. Most gym goers do not, which is why heavy duty created incredible results for a small number of disciplined lifters. Bro splits. The bro split may be the most mocked training style on the internet. Chest day, back day, arm day, one muscle group per workout. Science-based creators spent years calling it outdated, and yet bodybuilding history refuses to let it die because it works. Arnold used it, Ronnie Coleman used it, Jay Cutler used it. Some of the greatest physiques ever built relied heavily on bro split structures. The reason is simple: specialization. A dedicated chest day allows enormous focus and volume directed toward one area. The same applies to back, shoulders, legs. The system also works psychologically. Lifters enjoy it. Recovery is manageable. Workouts feel purposeful. Its weakness is frequency. Research consistently shows muscles often benefit from being trained more than once per week, which means bro splits are not necessarily optimal for natural lifters with average recovery capacity. But the internet exaggerated its flaws. The bro split survived decades because results kept defending it. Push-pull legs. Push-pull legs became the internet's favorite system for one reason: balance. Push days train pressing muscles. Pull days train back and biceps. Leg days handle the lower body. The structure is simple, efficient, repeatable, and unlike many trendy systems, PPL scales extremely well. Beginners can use it, advanced lifters can use it, natural athletes can recover from it effectively. It also solves one of bodybuilding's biggest problems: training frequency. Most muscles get stimulated multiple times every week without overwhelming recovery, which is why push-pull legs quietly became the default recommendation across modern fitness culture. Not because it is flashy, because it reliably works. The method lacks the mythology of heavy duty. It lacks the intensity culture of CrossFit. It lacks the iconic identity of bro splits. But consistency beats excitement surprisingly often in bodybuilding. Push-pull legs became popular because it removes unnecessary complexity, and muscle growth rarely rewards unnecessary complexity. Powerbuilding. Powerbuilding was created by people who wanted two things at once: to look strong and to actually be strong. Traditional bodybuilding maximized aesthetics. Powerlifting maximized performance. Powerbuilding attempted to merge them together. Heavy compound lifts formed the foundation: squats, bench press, deadlifts. Then hypertrophy work followed afterward. The system exploded online because it solved a major psychological problem. Many lifters secretly hate training only for appearance. They want measurable strength. Powerbuilding provides that. Progress feels tangible. Weights increase. Physiques improve. And some incredibly impressive physiques came from it. But the system carries risk, because strength training and hypertrophy training eventually begin competing for recovery resources. Elite powerlifters rarely look like elite bodybuilders. Elite bodybuilders rarely move like elite powerlifters. Trying to maximize both simultaneously becomes difficult. Still, powerbuilding succeeded where many methods failed. It kept people motivated long enough to stay consistent. And consistency builds more muscle than almost any program ever written. Progressive overload. Every method on this list changes exercises, changes volumes, changes frequency, changes philosophy. But every successful muscle-building system in history shares one thing: progressive overload. The principle is brutally simple. The body only adapts when it is forced to handle more than it handled before. More weight, more reps. Without progression, muscles stop receiving a reason to grow. That is why progressive overload outlived every trend. Arnold used it. Dorian used it. Ronnie used it. Natural bodybuilders use it. Powerlifters use it. Because muscle growth fundamentally depends on progression, not confusion, not novelty, not motivational speeches. Progression. Fitness culture keeps trying to reinvent muscle building every few years. New methods, new systems, new buzzwords. But the human body has remained brutally consistent. Give it a reason to adapt, recover, repeat. That is how physiques are built. And underneath every great bodybuilding system ever created, that principle was always there, even when the sport pretended it had discovered something new.